begin with some opening comments from Coach Elliott, and then we'll take questions for both Coach and from the student athletes. Coach?
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's really hard to believe here we are at Sunbelt Media Days once again. I can remember standing here a year ago, and just amazing to think this football season's just around the corner. It's an exciting time. I know for all the athletics departments, when football's coming around, it's kind of the start of the new year, and we're certainly excited at Georgia State University. I got two fine individuals with me today, two guys that have really stood the test of time at Georgia State. You know, I walked in here to Georgia State University, I'm going into my 6th season. And I can remember recruiting these young men a long time ago and talking to them about the vision that we had and what we were trying to do and what we're going to achieve and how we're going to do it and what the first step was and what the next step was and just not so much selling our program, but really just talking to them about my vision for Georgia State University football. Malik Sumter, I sat in his living room, and Malik was, I believe my recruiting spiel at that time was, we're going to build it from the inside out, Malik. You know, he knew all about me being an offensive line coach, and I talked to him about doing first and sitting there with his parents, and then seeing those things really all come to the forefront to go and win our first bowl game and to go and win back-to-back bowl games, our first FBS winning season and so many things. And then to have Blake Carroll and do the same thing, to sit in his living room and talk with his family about, our future and his future and what we're trying to do. Both these individuals exemplify everything we are at Georgia State. We're hardworking. We do things the right way. We're disciplined. We're strong, and we're passionate about our football program and our university. And they're two great representatives for our football program and everything about us. And we're thrilled to death. We've got what I think is a really strong football team this upcoming season. We all sit here and we talk about, the what-ifs and what could happen. But anytime you return 18 returning starters as a football coach, you have some sort of comfort. We've got a wealth of experience offensively. 4 of our 5 offensive line return. We've got 2 great backs, both on award watch lists. We've got receivers on the outside. We've got a returning starting quarterback. So we have pieces in place on the offensive football team. On the defensive side of the ball, guys like Blake Carroll. It's amazing to think just how he leads that defense. Quay White in the back end. Hit stick Antavius Lane just creates turnovers. We've got a lot of experience. Guys up front, Jamil Muhammad, to bring back, I believe we returned 8 of 11 starters defensively. Our special teams, Michael Hayes is going to man that forefront so far. He's going to handle our punting duties. He's going to handle our kicking duties thus far. And we're going to have a little open competition to see if we can better our special teams as well. We've hired a special teams coordinator, Narkita Banks, to make sure if we're going to take the next step in trying to compete for its conference championship, then we have to be on point offensively, defensively, and, of course, special teams. When I started this journey or this vision that I had for Georgia State football, I certainly thought back in 2017 that this was a program that really the possibilities were endless. You're in the city of Atlanta, the capital of college football. You've got a fertile recruiting ground. You have an ability to get anywhere you want to reach out to student athletes to go and recruit. They have the ability to come and see your campus, to see exactly what the city of Atlanta has to offer and the Georgia State University system has to offer them. And it's really amazing to think what all we have accomplished. 5 short years ago, we were sitting there at 3-9. We had a transition in head football coaches, and we walk in. Here we are today, and I'm standing before you, and I say, yes, I think we have a chance to go out and compete for a conference championship. We understand what it takes to go out and compete for a conference championship. We've got really, really good teams in our conference. With the addition of the 4 new members, it makes it even more difficult. But I think with the mindset, and I think with the work ethic, and I think with the education these guys have behind their football knowledge, then we have a chance to take the next step. We have a chance to go out and compete for the East Championship, and I think ultimately we have a chance to go out and win the Sun Belt Conference. And I think it's time. I think our players, we all understand that. We're not one to shy away from talking about it. I know a lot of coaches don't like to talk about it, but if you don't talk about it, if you don't bring it to the forefront, then how are you expected to go win it? So that's where we are right now in taking our next step. But we have the tools in place, we have the coaching staff, and we have the mindset, and we're hoping for a great Sun Belt Conference. We understand what's ahead of us, but things are tough. We all know that, and it's tough that really makes you great. So with that, any questions or whatnot?
We'll take questions for Coach Elliott and the student athletes. For those of you that are here in the room, if you have a question, we ask you to please raise your hand. And also, if you would, please stand so we can catch you on the camera. Wait for a microphone to come to you. If you would state your name and your media affiliation before you ask your question, we'd appreciate it. And for those of you on Zoom, please type your questions into the chat, and I'll read them aloud. Questions from the floor? Here we go.
Kevin Foote, the Acadiana Advocate. Coach, can you talk about the impact that Darren had on y'all's season last year, and what's the next step for him this season?
Well, yes. We started off with a tough non-conference slate, and it didn't work out so well. We started our first 5 games, we were 1-4. And during that time, you have to ask yourself, is it the tough non-conference schedule? You were playing Army, you're going out and you're playing Auburn, North Carolina, Charlotte, and then you open up with a tough, very, very tough Appalachian State team. But ultimately, we had to make a change from within to really, really get our football team going in the right direction. We have this thing we call Panther Awards there in the spring where you vote on your MVP. And, I just remember looking at our staff and telling them, Darren Granger was a part of 7 of 8 wins once we implemented him. Everyone else was the same, but we made really one change, one other additional change at running back, and it seemed to, just bring great momentum, and whether it's inspiration, I don't know what it was, but our players really pulled for Darren. He's a guy that wants you to play better than you could ever play, and he has a calming effect on our team, and we needed to be calmed down to a certain extent. And it's amazing to think when you look at his eyes, and he's got such a happy-go-lucky kind of demeanor, that he just makes everything feel right. And he made our football team, offensively, defensively, and special teams, just feel right.
Coach, on a similar note, I have a Zoom question, and this could be for all 3 of you. What were the major differences in your team that started the season last year and your team that finished the season last year?
I think our quarterback was one, but we just improved. We really did. And I just mentioned about the non-conference slate. When you open up at Army, that's a tough draw, and then you go and you play North Carolina, and then you play Auburn, and that's some more pretty tough teams. But we really got better. We played great competition in the non-conference, and then once we got to our schedule, we made the change, gained confidence, and our team just took off and grew.
Guys, same question.
I would say want to. We got tired of losing. We knew that we were a better team than 1-4, and we just, we already knew we was a good team, so we just put our foot down, put it in a different direction.
Other than the quarterback, we knew we were a good team. It was like, look at our schedule. We started 2 Power 5 teams, an Army team. We always knew we had a good team, but, that's it.
Raymond Parch with the game, 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. This is for Coach and the 2 players. The East has been such a dogfight for a couple years now with you guys, App State and Coastal. Now it just got a whole lot tougher with some additional teams. How important is it for you guys to come out strong, come out focused this season? That way you don't find yourself behind the 8 ball, so to speak, when you get to the midway point of the season.
Yeah. Well, I want you to understand. We face a very difficult non-conference schedule again. We opened up September 3rd at the University of South Carolina. We bring in a University of North Carolina team to Center Park Stadium. We play Army again at Army. We've got Charlotte. We've got a tough schedule. I think what we have to do is exactly what we did a year ago. We have to keep our head on straight. We can't let the highs be too high. We can't let the lows be too lows. And we ultimately know we've got us a good football team. But we've got to manage our non-conference slate. So when it is conference-ready time, we're ready to go. And I think we can do that. Now, does that mean you go out and you beat the University of South Carolina and the University of North Carolina and Army and Charlotte? Yeah, we all hope so. That's our goal, of course. But I'm not sure that's a realistic goal. Well, what we need to do is to have confidence gained throughout those first 4 games. So when that Coastal Carolina unit comes in there for our first conference game, we're ready to get started quick on our conference slate.
Players? No, I would say that, we're going to prepare for every game the same way. We don't care who it is. We don't prepare for a game different because of the opponent, So, we just going to go into every game the same way. We're going to prepare to win. And that's what we expect.
Yeah, we're just going to take it 1 week at a time. Our non-conference is hard, but it was like that last year, and they prepared us for the rest of the season. Same with this year. But the teams we got, they're going to prepare us for this hard conference. So take it 1 week at a time.
I have a question from Zoom. This is for Coach. How key is it to have your two solid running backs and a very solid offensive line back?
Well, when your head coach is an ex-offensive line coach, to have 4 of the returning 5 starters coming back is pretty good up front. To have 2 great running backs and to have those guys returning is fantastic. To have a quarterback with legs on it, I feel really good about it. Listen, you probably can survey every head coach in this room, and they would all feel the same way.
Coach, Emmanuel Peppers, Sun Belt Conference. You already talked about the toughness of the non-conference schedule and how you guys were able to kind of be resilient. Just talk about it from the resiliency and character perspective and what these guys showed last year, especially with so many returning starters and what that does, obviously, from your perspective to really have that confidence going into this year with such a tough schedule again. Yeah,
it really speaks to the mindset of our veterans. Had we have been a younger football team a year ago, we probably couldn't have overcome the 1-4 start. But we have veterans, and those veterans are all back. I mean, it seems like these guys have been here forever. I mean, it's honestly. But we have such a better mindset. They're a year older. They're more experienced. They've all played. Like I said, 18 of 22 starters are returning. We understand the conference and the non-conference slate again this year. We understand the difficulty in managing that and then moving into an already tough East League and then adding 3 of the 4 in the East. It makes it even tougher. But we're prepared. We're prepared. I don't think anything's going to come our way that we're not prepared for. And that's a mark of a good football team. That means you got great experience, and we have that all across the board from our special teams to our offense to our defense. Nothing is going to surprise us, and we've got great leadership.
I have a Zoom question, and this is for Blake. Blake, it says you have a lot of new faces in your front 7. How has that group gelled so far?
I wouldn't say it's a lot of new faces. I would say that, we have depth. So a lot of guys came back and a lot of guys didn't get to start, but I feel like everybody played. So it's a lot of experience on our front 7. That box is we hang our hat on that box. We want to be physical in there. We want to pound teams. You want to beat on teams with that box, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Coach, if you talk about that same front 7.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about referring to a lot of new faces. Thomas scores a starter at nose that probably wasn't listed as a starter. Yeah, I understand.
That's just what it says here.
But I think there's maybe 2, to be honest with you. Those guys gel together. I mean, we play multiple. I think we have more defensive linemen in the position than any other group. And so we play multiple players a lot of times. So a lot of times the guy that starts the game isn't the guy that finishes the game. A lot of rotation. I think we're really, really prepared, and we're very, very talented in all those front 7 areas.
Any other questions in the room? Coach, guys, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Good luck to you, all of you, going forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
This concludes our opening